So Mahesh, you joined this webinar for the first time.
Yeah, this is my first time on this webinar.
Mhm.
So I believe it's a series, and every week there is some webinar, right?
Yes, almost every 3 days there is a webinar.
Okay.
So it is a series two. Series one, there were 10 such webinars purely on technical part actually that time.
Oh, okay.
So now it is more on techno business type of discussions,
Okay.
because we are now looking for a solution, and solution does not come only for technical from technical side. There
Ah,
has to be a holistic solution there. So
no, it's great that so many webinars are being organized. Always very useful for the participants. Takeaways are always there from each webinar.
Yeah.
It must be quite an hassle to organize so many webinars.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
Dr. Syed, I think the
No,
compliments goes
no,
to
no,
Syed
no,
and team. His
no, no, no,
patience and
no,
his
no,
perseverance is helping.
Yeah,
no,
some
no.
coordination is required for.
Indramani is the first guy. Indramani is the first guy. I think he's not joined
Uh,
yet.
yeah, I
I
did
think
say.
ISA is really behind all of us. Indian
Mm.
Society of Agriculture Engineers, and we have a lot of people. Like Vijay was very active in the first webinar to organize it.
Okay.
And this is the first time I think probably all the agriculture engineering professionals are meeting frequently, and we are trying to join the different type of expertise throughout the India, throughout the country, and
Mm.
putting them in. And outside also, we have a lot of speakers from outside of India, basically most of them all Indians only. But I think we want to make technology oriented the farmers today,
Mm.
which are not. And everybody is talking about farmers, how to increase the income. And we have the secrets and we have the solutions. So I think technology was not there till now directly from agricultural engineering or any part. So we are trying our best to put it together. So today you will actually today is first talk on logistics because I don't think agricultural engineer somebody never thought of logistics and warehousing and all because basically it's a different altogether. Always wanted to share because I have friends who are in NABARD, who are in bankers and who are in share market. So I know how the commodity market and stuff works. And next on 13th we have a expert on commodity also market. Will come and talk about trading, agri marketing actually. So we are trying to expose these areas to the agri engineers basically and the professors and,
Mhm.
because basically I think the whole logistic will change. 3PL, 4PL probably will come. Like Amazon starts selling already vegetables in certain countries already. So and India now opened up right now, just a week back. So
Yeah.
we expect lot of changes. Those who are in the helm of it, they think a lot of changes will happen, and we have to be part of it.
Right.
So like for example, warehousing. Uh, there are problems, issues with warehousing right now as it is run, and and technology is very less. Monitoring all the stuffs are a question mark, and it's going to be volume now. So I think there's a scope for engineers to perform better. And processing has to be improved based on the what the market challenges bring in for the. You know better because you people are in logistics and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I would know in my domain. It's always interesting to share information and views with other industries.
Incidentally, TVS director, TVS Logistics, he is my classmate. So,
Mhm.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
doing it for
Ram
40
Shankar,
years.
great
Yeah,
personality.
yeah, he is my classmate, BE classmate.
Wow.
S. Ravichandran. So we are in touch very often. So, but I know him from long time. I mean, when he started first, he's trying. He's one of the pioneers, I think, in logistics in India.
Yes,
30
yes,
years by 35.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm. So you will help us. You will help us all to understand more about into it, because you are an agriculture engineer, luckily, but very less people I find agriculture engineers I know agriculture engineer. My classmate was Indian Bank. He was executive director. Last time he retired, and he is now an IBA chief number 2 in Indian bankers. And NABARD, we have people who are agriculture engineers. So you name it, everywhere they are there. But then not to that amount they could be absorbed in the system. So you people will help us to create more interest. Dr. Indramani has come.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I thought I didn't see you. I was just talking with you.
I was listening. It is always good to listen to you.
Good evening. No. You are without you it will be boring. You are the one. Now you take chance.
Yeah, Dr. Indramani, good evening.
Welcome, Mr. Khetan. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Indramani.
Good evening. Welcome, Mr. Babu.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening. Wonderful.
Good evening, sir. Good morning.
Good evening.
Today Delhi is facing a storm. A good rain. Now. After 5, there has been continuous rain or a storm in one or other area of Delhi.
Oh.
Because yesterday and today the temperature shoot up very high. So then rain came for rescue. Mr. Babu, how are you? Rajeshwar joined. Rajeshwar.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Devra here.
Good evening, all of you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Mr. Rajeshwar. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Professor Gajan Singh has joined. Good morning. I have to tell him.
How are you, Dora साहब?
बस फाइन सर. दिल्ली कैसा चल रहा है?
दिल्ली अच्छा है, बस कोरोना पड़ रहा है, बरसात आ रही है ज्यादा आज.
और भेज रहे हैं साहब, सैयद साहब और भेज रहे हैं.
क्या
सैयद साहब और
भेज रहे हैं, वो जरूरी है ज्यादा.
Before this, I was in a meeting to discuss on locust. Locust has become a big problem. And what they are telling that due to early, arrival in May they came, and Rajasthan is not sufficient greenery, and that's why they are coming to this part of the country, to up to Jhansi, and and the expert was telling that last year 1,500 swarm came, and country could not know because they were contained there only. This year we have so far only 30 the swarm, but a lot of hue and cry. So this has become another big problem.
So, Indramani ji, I read a report from, I think, IMF or World Bank. They were saying this is going to impact the crop productivity in this season significantly, that we will be seeing 15 to 20% lower grain yields. How far is that? How far is that plausible or reasonable?
You will not be able to, imagine that in 1 hectare area they come in 4 to 5 lakhs. 10,000 is economic threshold. Up to 10,000 they don't bother, but they come in 4 to 5 lakhs per hectare. and in a short time they just finish the crop. And
I mean, because we have not yet started sowing in many places, and the plants are still very small, or so.
Basically, this summer season crops, particularly vegetables and all,
Oh, okay.
that many of them are cash crop, moong.
Oh, yeah.
They are just they finish in in just and this has become so they are not able to control. I was learning from them that it's I was just thinking that I was asking, is there any possibility to understand, learn their physics, because this swarm movement is so dynamic, so interesting. That and Dr. Muti, there is effort and we can work, we can help. And you are in Indore, near Rajasthan. If you
Sure. I mean, are they tracking the locust swarms? Because that is there is. I mean, after this one, I was trying to read some papers and stuff like that. They are talking about how a normal grasshopper behavior changes drastically to become the locust swarm. So
can we think of eradicating them, killing them using laser?
Oh yeah, okay.
Laser will also, and by laser they can be used. Economical use is there, means as a feed for poultry, as a feed for fish.
Oh yeah.
They are worried, they don't want to use it for this purpose, because if they are killed by chemicals, so with
true.
that will be very, very dangerous.
There is actually a system, Indramani ji. Now that you talk about it, there was actually a TED talk that I saw about 8 years ago. And what they were trying to do was not for locusts, but they were trying to kill mosquitoes. So they were trying to make a laser fence with mosquitoes so that mosquitoes don't come inside. So I think this could be very well done for locusts very easily in the farm.
This you plan in IIT, and we can join hand.
Okay.
This very area using some kind of radiation or some kind or laser. If we can kill them, and another we can we think of something big, system mounted on this military vehicles to have vacuum effect
shoot the laser.
suck them.
Yeah. You know, this is what exactly they were talking about. They were shooting the lasers into the air.
There was one in Chennai, South India. Somebody did like insect killer. What we have, like that, a big one. But I think it's very difficult. Laser, you can do it, but you see, you're talking about lakhs and lakhs are coming.
Like Sayedji, what they do is they don't kill the entire thing. I mean, it's not, what they do is they just fry their wings so that they cannot fly.
Yes.
That's all. For that, you don't need very high power laser. You can get away with a small power laser.
But how wide you have to put?
No. What they will do is they will put a camera actually. So there is this infrared camera, and that is tracked by this one. The laser movement is basically you put it on a stepper motor and essentially control it so that you can,
They come for 100 meters width here. I mean, talking actually when you see the swarm coming.
Yeah. I'm not saying that is the solution. I'm not saying that is the solution.
Okay.
But then it will be cool to say that ag engineers use lasers to kill. We are the next Star Wars warriors or something.
Okay. I have to interrupt because we will run out of short of time, because the next second topic was very important for tag. So like I told you, just 1 minute. Actually, we are starting today a different theme topic of logistics, and we are talking about which normally agriculture engineers don't cover, but we find agriculture engineers are really doing very good in logistics, which is a part and parcel actually before the product reaches the end user from the farmer. So, and nowadays and last week there are changes in the way this whole farmer produce will go to the end user. Ordinance changes are there. So we will have the commodity market, everything will change, challenges. So today we start with the first talk on logistics, and the next talk on 13th, we have another speaker who will talk about marketing. So I think I would request Dr. Indramani to kindly introduce the speaker, and I'd like to thank very much Mahesh for having accepted to come and talk to us. Mahesh is a MTech in agriculture engineering. And now you take up, please.
Thank you, Dr. Syed, Professor Singh, and friends. We have today a very important speaker, Mahesh Khetan of Grasim Industries. He is an MTech in agricultural engineering with the MBA from IIM Bangalore. So, a wonderful, deadly combination. He is Vice President and Global Head of Supply Chain of Grasim Industries Limited, particularly in advanced material of Aditya Birla Group. And we are going to learn from him on the logistics, supply chain, warehousing in agriculture. This, as Dr. Syed said, very important area. I just, in the last I will make comment, but liquid fertilizer is another area where logistic is a big challenge, and despite production, despite technology, logistic has come in a big way. So from Mr. Khetan's talk, we will learn the things, and then after that we will have interaction. So I invite Mr. Mahesh Khetan to speak. Mr. Khetan, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Syed and Dr. Indramani, for an elaborative introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to participate in this webinar. And I have a discussion with all the experts into this field of agricultural domain. So should I share?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, is the screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So today we are going to discuss about supply chain, warehousing, logistics in the agricultural domain. Actually, all of us who are present here are experts in supply chain in one way or the other. We all have experienced a supply chain in some form, right from managing our day-to-day household stuff, managing grocery, managing our wardrobe, to the biggest company in the world, which is running state-of-the-art supply chain. Supply chain is everywhere. So how the life in a normal supply chain professional at the work whole day looks like. So this is all about full chaos, full confusion. There are various types of information and decisions a supply chain professional has to make, or a supply chain team has to make. There are various regulations changing. Now in the pandemic, we are saying that we are seeing somewhere the lockdown is there, somewhere it is not there. In some states, the truck movement is allowed, some states it is not allowed. So the regulations keep on changing, whether we have this pandemic or no pandemic. So many decisions a supply chain team has to take, and this is what it results into in a normal scenario. And whenever there is a change in plan or change in information or say change in demand or any change which happens into the business, normally the supply chain team is the last to know. This is a normal complaint from all the supply chain professionals, that why didn't you tell us earlier, we could have planned better. And when it comes to adoption of a new technology, if someone proposes that you adopt this new technology and your life will become easier, normally there is a lot of resistance. We are by nature, by human nature, do not accept anything new, any change very easily. So sometimes we feel, is it too early to adopt this new technology? Is my work, my supply chain is running fine without the new initiatives or new technologies, so why should I get into it? Do I need to evaluate it more? Will my supply chain cost go up, and so on and so forth. So this is just a little bit on the lighter side. Now, why the agricultural supply chain is so important in the current scenario? This is just to give a feel of what is happening in the global population, it took about 2000 years for the first billionth person to take birth on the earth. And after that, it took only about 100 years for the second billionth person to take birth on earth. And after that, similarly, the third billion, it took 33 years. But after this, after 1950, say, every 12 to 15 years, 1 billion people are getting added in the world's population. Now, if we continue with this rate of growth of global population, in next say 20 or 30 years, we will need 3 times the size of the land which is available on the earth for growing food, which is impossible to have. Now, there are many organizations, many countries which are taking various initiatives related to environment, ecological footprint. With all the collective initiatives, they might be able to save requirement of land equivalent to one earth, one planet. But still we will need 2 earths, that means 2 times the land which is currently available on the earth to grow food to feed the population which will be there 30 years or say 20 years from now. Now that is impossible. We cannot have more land than what is available. Then improving agricultural supply chain efficiency becomes the only way for the survival of this planet. So this is not a debate or a discussion where we want to debate whether we need to incorporate technology or modern infrastructure in the agricultural supply chain. This is a must for the planet to survive. There are various issues associated with the agricultural supply chain in India currently. The key ones being major is we were just discussing before the start of this webinar about the locust. So there are lots of, other than locust, there are lots of normal losses because of the lack of infrastructure, lack of logistics, lack of proper warehousing. Current gap in the warehousing between demand and supply is 35 million ton for the food grains. And then the quality of the infrastructure, quality of the warehouses and quality of the logistics which is available in the country, with a limited expertise with the third-party logistics service providers, limited expertise with the logistics transporters, operators, and limited expertise with the warehouse service providers. Also, there's a lack of flexibility and scalability. So if someone wants to expand or change the location, storage location from X to Y, the flexibility is not available. So these are the key issues which we will try to discuss and address in this discussion today. So because of all this, the agricultural supply chain needs to undergo a significant technology transformation going forward. This is to satisfy the demand of the growing population and feed the number of people which will be there, say 20 years from now. And of course, there are other benefits like optimization of the cost and profitability in the farm business, in the agri business. Sorry, anyone wants to say anything?
No, go ahead. Somebody.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, so these are the key elements in any supply chain. So everything starts with planning. So you start forecasting the demand, and based on that, you start procuring the goods, the raw material, which is then stored, and then it goes for production, and then the finished goods are, so if the processing is done, some value added goods or finished goods are produced. In each stage of operation, there is a transportation, and then there is a waste management or return management for the goods which are not sold or which have expired. We may not be able to talk about all these elements today given the time constraint, but we will try to touch upon the key ones, which is warehousing, transportation, and little bit on planning. So coming to the warehousing part, given the size and the diversity of the country like India, if government or say any private organization has to decide how many warehouses they should have and what should be the location of the warehouses. Say in a particular state of Maharashtra, if an organization, if a company decides that They will handle the agricultural supply chain. They will buy the produce from the farmers and process it, transport it to the processors, and then transport the finished goods to the retailers and to the consumers, or export the grains or the processed food outside the country. So even in a state like Maharashtra, the decision that where all the warehouse should be located and what should be the sizes of the warehouse, it's a difficult one, because there are multiple locations, growing locations of different commodities across the state. And if you add, say, Madhya Pradesh into that, then Sihor near Indore, which is a major wheat growing location. So what should be the size of the warehouse? So this is done through a network modeling exercise. It's a linear programming tool, or a multiple integer programming tool. So in this, if all the input variables and output variables are fed, then it gives a, with all the constraints, then it gives a output, it gives the result that you should have these many number of warehouses across this network to optimize the cost. Now what it takes care of is the logistics cost from farms to the warehouse. Then this is inbound logistics. Then the outbound logistics cost from the warehouse to the consumers, and the warehousing cost, including the warehouse operation cost and rent. So total cost, adding all this, is optimized, which is with a minimal cost option, considering all the constraints and all the network you can determine. So this is what is network modeling. Now this network modeling exercise also needs to be done on a continuous basis. It is not a one-time exercise, because the demand keeps on changing into the market. Now we are seeing in the current pandemic situation itself, the demand scenario has changed. It has reduced drastically in few regions and increased significantly into other regions. So based on this, even if this pandemic situation had not been there, there are so many other external environmental factors beyond anyone's control, which require the network modeling exercise, or the supply chain network, or the storage location network, to be modified on a continuous basis. So this network modeling exercise needs to be done regularly whenever the external conditions change. And nowadays this can be done very easily through a tool called Solver in Excel. And then there are other some softwares which are free or are available at a minimal cost. So whatever we are talking today in this 20-25 minutes, it's all a very cost-effective tools, initiatives, which does not require huge investment of millions or billions of rupees or dollars. These are very simple solutions, but very not adopted to a large extent, very rarely adopted. Very few organizations, very few supply chain professionals use this. But if these are used effectively, then it can solve lots of problems and optimize the cost. Coming to the warehousing part, so once we have decided that where all we put the warehouse, then we have to put the warehouse. Now what kind of infrastructure we should have inside the warehouse? Now warehouse, when we talk about what comes to our mind is a traditional godown kind of an atmosphere, whether the goods are stored and with very minimal or absolutely no processes and systems inside that. Now that perception or that thing about the warehouse has changed significantly. Today, a normal warehouse also is driven by warehouse management software or warehouse management system called WMS. So in a normal manually operated WMS driven warehouse, the software gives the instruction to all the workers on a handheld terminal, which is a mobile phone kind of a device. So on that handheld terminal, the instruction goes to this worker that pick this material, take it to the racking, put it there, bring it to the sorting station, pack it, dispatch it to this location, this much quantity. Entire thing is done through a handheld terminal, paperless scenario. I'll just show a small video for 10-15 seconds on how this is done in a manual operation. So this is that device, the handheld terminal, on which the instruction from the software warehouse management software goes to each worker, and the worker picks, the particular number of pieces from this bin, scans it, puts it here, and then it goes to the sorting or the packing station. So this has become a normal thing. Few years back, about say 10 years back, this used to be considered as a luxury. Now this has become a necessity. The same way smartphones or mobile phones were considered as luxury 20 years back, and now it's a necessity. But now with the scale going up, population going up, and the volume to be handled by each warehouse is going up, if we continue even with this kind of operation, and if the same warehouse with the same space has to handle say 3 times or 4 times the volume, then the warehouse will look like this. It's very cluttered, full of people, no space for the movement of people also into the warehouse. So we cannot, even the warehouses cannot continue to work in this way. Today, the warehouses which we call modern warehouse, which are software driven, no paper, no pen, even this way of working is not going to be sustainable for next 5 years also. So then the next level of warehouse automation is having the conveyorized ASR with ASRS robotics enabled system, automatic storage and retrieval system. So here, as you can see, there are hardly any workers. Now this particular system requires some investment, but then that investment can be paid back in just 3 or 4 years of time. So here it comes, the material comes, it is put on the conveyor, it goes into the storage area, into the bin racking. From the bin racking, the robotic enabled cranes, they pick up the material and bring it to the sorting packing station and so on. So this is how this kind of warehouse looks like. So these are the cranes. This is the actual picture when this warehouse is operating. No lights, no people. You can see only 2 cranes. Now the lights have been put on here just to take this video. So you can see these 2 cranes are managing the entire operation into the warehouse.
We can't see any video here.
Oh, sorry, no one can see the video?
No.
Before also, the previous one also we cannot see.
Oh.
Are you seeing the video? Are you seeing the video?
Okay.
No.
No.
No
So
video.
I will then show it through the folder.
Yes, sir.
So I'll show the previous one. Can you see it
Okay.
now?
No, it's not running.
I think
The
you may have to
presentation is
share
not
that
running.
particular window for it to be visible to everybody.
Okay. There could be some problem. But you can see the slides, right?
Yeah.
Yes, lights I can see. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can skip the video part then if it's not visible.
Okay.
So this is how what 10 or 12 years back these technologies in the warehouse operation like warehouse management system, put to light system, conveyor sorter, and all these were considered as luxury. And very large organizations or large business groups only used to have this. Now almost every warehouse, if you go to Bhiwandi in Mumbai, almost 80% of the warehouse will have all these technologies. So this perception for these technologies has already changed from luxury to necessity. Similarly, 5 years down the line, perception for the next level of technologies, which is completely robotics enabled cranes. Today it is paperless warehouse, 5 years down the line, it will be manless warehouse. So perception for the next level of technologies will also change. It will become a necessity, and almost every warehouse in India will have this. Already in India, most of the pharmaceutical warehouses and FMCG warehouses use these technologies, ASRS and auto-guided vehicles. So this is how the trend of technology is changing from very luxurious things to it has become a necessity now. Second initiative in this is the blockchain operation. All of you must have heard about the blockchain. So blockchain is in a supply chain, in an agricultural supply chain. There are multiple agencies, multiple organizations, and multiple agents operating from farm till the final customer. Now the computer systems of all these organizations or agencies do not talk to each other. Now because these IT systems do not talk to each other, there is a significant lack of visibility. For example, from farm, the food grains are transported and stored into a warehouse. From first warehouse, they are stored to a second warehouse because here it is road and here it is water movement or say rail movement. And from this warehouse, it is transported to port, and from port, it is exported. Now there are multiple storage locations, multiple handling points in this. Now say inventory, suddenly a huge order comes from here, and inventory from this particular warehouse moves faster and it goes down, or this warehouse becomes empty. Now, if a timely information does not go to here or here, then the lead, if they work with the normal operation and a normal lead time, then the time for replenishment could be very high, and some orders or some opportunities to sell into some other countries might be missed. Now, what blockchain does is it synchronizes the IT systems of all these organizations. Even though those are different ERPs, through blockchain, all are connected. And they start talking to each other with a limited access. So only the limited information which this particular person has to see will have access of the IT system of this particular organization. So what it gives is it gives a complete traceability and visibility. Decision making becomes very fast, taking actions become very fast. So this guy exactly knows how much this guy is produced and dispatched to this particular person, and based on that, he can plan his inventory. Similarly, the certifications in agricultural commodities, there are lots of certification, or any export operation for that say requires a lot of certification. Now, if the government agencies are also part of blockchain, then certification also becomes very easy and faster. So blockchain is being adopted now very widely into the supply chain domain and also in the agriculture domain. Then comes the transportation. So transportation in agricultural supply chain, how we can optimize the usage of all modes of available transportation in India, which is road, rail, water, of course, air we will not cover here, but should we transport only through road even if it is 1,200 kilometers, or should we use a combination of road and rail, and sometimes road and water, and sometimes all three, road, rail and water, to optimize the cost and reduce the lead time? All the losses in agriculture are because the lead time is high and the storage facilities are not adequate. That's why all the losses are happening, and so much food grains we are losing every year. If the transportation infrastructure is optimized by usage of all the three available modes of transportation, then it can bring a lot of improvement in the agricultural logistics. But all this is not possible by a single organization. So the usage of third-party logistics service providers, agencies, contractors, has to be done. We will cover this a little bit in detail in the next slide. And then there has to be a flexibility of expansion or reduction based on the demand in the transportation network as well. So this is about the third-party logistics service providers. Now, what are the benefits? Why we should use third-party logistics service providers, and why we should not do everything ourselves? For example, all the warehouses across the country, why we should not hire our own warehouses and run the warehouse operations through our own people? The issue is an organization will not be able to do that. Today, Britannia does not produce a single biscuit. All entire manufacturing, 100% of the manufacturing operation is outsourced. Pepsi in India does not produce a single bottle of Pepsi by themselves. Everything is outsourced to third-party service providers. Now, why do they do that? Because they feel that now after so many years of product development and brand development, now their job is to just focus on marketing. So the entire organization focuses on sales and marketing. And they don't want to waste their resources and energy and focus on entire supply chain, including manufacturing. So similarly, this is true for any organization. We should focus on the core, an organization should focus on a core competency and should hand over all other operations to third-party service providers. Now the benefits of third-party service providers is they will have a huge scale of volume. There, if you need a 10,000 square feet warehouse, a third-party service provider will have a 5 lakh square feet warehouse because that is their core business of that organization. They are TCI kind of organization, Transport Corporation of India, or Safex or Blue Dart or DHL kind of an organization. Warehousing is their core business. So they will have millions and millions square feet of warehouse space. And because they have so much warehouse space, they can afford very costly technology and infrastructure in that warehouse. What we have just seen, the ASRS and those conveyors, robotics and all that, they can afford. So an organization can take benefit of that. Also because they are running a similar operation for multiple companies, multiple organizations. The learnings from different organizations, even if they are your competitor in the market, can be obtained, can be benefited through third-party logistics service providers. And then it also gives a flexibility. In case you decide that now your market is no more in a particular city, say warehouse is set up in Delhi, and something happens and you want to move that warehouse from Delhi to Mumbai. A third party warehouse is easy to exit and hire another third party warehouse in Mumbai. So it gives a flexibility, it gives a similarly, it gives a scalability. Today, if you are using 20,000 square feet in a warehouse and you want to increase it to 40,000, it can be easily done because the third party is already owning a 5 lakh square feet warehouse. Same thing is applicable to logistics, freight forwarding, customs handling, even logistics in other countries in terms of, in case of exports. Using a good, strong network of third-party logistics service providers is very important in the modern supply chain, whether it is agriculture domain or any other domain. One should have a strong network of partners across the value chain, across the supply chain, right from transportation to planning to IT systems to warehousing, everything. Now there is a, for exports, particularly imports and exports, there are facilities called ICTs. Now every city in India does not have easy access to the ports because ports are located only near the ocean, near the sea. So for example, a city like Nagpur, it is far away from the port. It's almost 700 kilometers from Mumbai. Now for everything, they have to export. The farmers in and around Nagpur or Vidarbha, if they have to export everything through Mumbai and have to incur a huge transportation cost, they will not be able to compete with the farmers who are around Mumbai, or if they have to export, they will not be able to compete in the market in some other country due to this cost. Now there is a ICD at Nagpur. Similarly, there are about 80 active ICDs all over India. ICD is an inland container depot. It is a replica of a port operation without a sea. So what happens is anything which is imported at a port in Mumbai, it goes by rail to this ICD Nagpur. So rail movement saves cost, reduces lead time, prevents all other issues like congestion at the port and all that. And all these containers, they come and land here at ICD Nagpur. So anyone who's importing in Nagpur can clear their shipment from Nagpur itself rather than sending their trucks to Mumbai. Same thing is applicable to export. Anything they have to export, they just have to drop here at ICT Nagpur. And by rail, it comes to the port in Mumbai and then get shipped to any other country. So using this kind of infrastructure optimally is very important. Then there are free trade agreements, which are very important, particularly for agricultural commodities. India, so free trade agreement is an agreement between any two countries, wherein once this agreement is signed, then there are zero duty or very less customs duty. So you can, so if you have a free trade agreement with Thailand, we can sell our products in Thailand with zero customs duty, and we can compete well in the market in Thailand. So India has free trade agreement with all ASEAN countries. So there are these 10 countries in ASEAN: Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and so on. But then this is very less. A country like South Korea has a free trade agreement with too many countries across the world. So India is still yet to have free trade agreements with many countries in Europe, USA, Africa, and all. So if this is increased, and given the fact that demand and supply situation is changing very rapidly, particularly after this pandemic, there are many countries who were net exporters have become net importers. Net exporter means, for example, the quantity of say wheat or rice a country is exporting versus the quantity of wheat the country is importing. So export quantity is more than the import quantity. So the country becomes a net exporter. It is very difficult to sell a commodity, that commodity to that country which is a next exporter of that commodity. That means that that particular commodity is grown in a very huge quantity in that country, and they will never import it from you. Now, because of this pandemic, the global situation has changed significantly and very rapidly. There are countries, even countries like China, who were net exporters of few items. In my domain, in my business itself, I am observing that some chemicals, they were net exporters and now they have become net importers because the factories in China have shut down. So this has the same thing has happened to many countries. Now constantly analyzing the import-export data of various countries. This data is available for some countries free of cost on their websites. Some countries you have to purchase, but this data needs to be analyzed, and opportunities to export the agricultural commodities to various countries needs to be continuously explored. And whenever such exporting opportunity exists, through government and ministries, FTAs should be signed with those countries to facilitate us to compete in the marketplace over there.
Okay.
This is the last slide. So every problem, the solution is normally simple, but we tend to make it very complicated. Now this is just a cartoon, Dilbert cartoon I have presented here, where the boss says that do you have any suggestion to reduce the inventory? And one of them says, can we just sell it to the customers? It is so simple that sometimes we just forget that in all the technologies, evaluation and analysis of that so much data and all, normally the solution is very simple. And we go for a very complicated solution, overdoing the digitization, overdoing the technology implementation, and so on. So to conclude, these are the things which we have discussed today, and according to me, these are the things which can be done to enhance and optimize the agricultural supply chain. We should constantly do the network modeling exercise for the storage location. Warehouses, we should either modernize our own warehouses or use third-party service providers. We should use all the available transportation infrastructure available into road, rail, water, ICDs, everything what is available in India currently, rather than complaining about infrastructure is not sufficient. What is available, we should try to use it to the maximum extent possible. We should use blockchain kind of technologies and should concentrate on FTAs for export. So that's it. I hope I finished within 30 minutes. Now it's open for discussion.
Thank you.
Be happy to answer any queries.
Thank you, Mahesh Khetan. It's a very excellent talk about idea about what is we learned on the complete supply chain. I will put it to question. I see some questions are there. Can you make questions short and the reply also short, because we are running out of time for the next one also. That is my request. First is I would ask Murthy. Can you ask your question, please?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sayed. Thank you so much, Mr. Khetan, for the great presentation. So my question was, in terms of agricultural logistics, where are we in terms of grain logistics? Because that is mostly done by FCA and things like that, in terms of private players compared to essentially, let's say, other first world standards for grain logistics, specifically for cereals and pulses and those kind of grain logistics. Thank you.
Yeah, where are we in the sense, of course, it is dependent on too much unorganized players. The warehouses which are many villages in India do not even have the road infrastructure currently, and they are dependent on the very crude kind of warehousing and small warehousing infrastructure of say 5,000 square feet or even smaller than 5,000 square feet warehouses currently. Transportation, because even the road is not available, their mode of transportation is bullock cart right now. So this is the situation. So of course, to improve on this, the road infrastructure or the connectivity infrastructure to the villages has to be continuously improved, and I'm sure the work is already going on for that. But wherever the infrastructure is available, these are at a very advanced stage. For example, if you take example of a Seor wheat mandi in Madhya Pradesh, it is at a very, very advanced stage, warehousing, logistics, everything. So wherever the road infrastructure or rail infrastructure is available, the things have reached to the advanced level. And but in rural area, in villages, it is still a challenge.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question we have from Baruah. Devendra C. Baruah, please. Dr. Baruah, can you ask your question?
Hello. Is there any instance in India or maybe particularly in other regions, relocating of the warehouse after doing this network analysis? Is there an instances if they were not properly located with the development of infrastructures or some other things, if relocation is required, is it possible or is there anything happen there? Number one. Number two, whether blockchain is applied in any of the case in warehousing in India or any of our nearby countries. Thank you very much. Very nice talk.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Baruah, for these questions. Change in warehousing network is difficult, but it has happened in India as well as outside many times. In my previous experience, when I was working with a company called Pantaloons, apparel retail supply chain, we had changed the entire warehousing network within less than a year's time because of the network optimization model. So it keeps on happening, though it is very difficult and very painful. Once you have set up a warehouse, to change that in the running business is very difficult, but it happens. It all depends on the people and the team. Your second question was whether blockchain has been adopted. Blockchain has been adopted in India in the automobile industry for just-in-time movement, where they need the spare parts to manufacture a car just at the time when the production is happening, when that screw needs to be fixed into the car. At that time itself, just half an hour before or 1 hour before, they need it in the just-in-time in automobile industry, particularly in Mahindra, it has been adopted already. I'm sure in some pharmaceutical industries also in India, it must have been adopted. And then there are some startups, small startups which have come up in India who are implementing blockchain applications in the agricultural supply chain and food processing supply chain.
Are there service providers from India? Is there a service provider, or we are relying on the outside service provider, particularly for blockchain?
No, there are service providers in India.
Indian.
In Mumbai, there are many of them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mahesh, for your next question. I take from Narendra Shah. Can you make your question short? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the agriculture commodities, as everybody understands here, are perishables. If you go and see the website of MOFPI, FCI, in the fruits and vegetables, 25% we see losses. In fruit grains, 8 to 10% losses. So if one is to ask to you in next 3, 4, 5 years, what should be the first or second thing, two things that this agriculture commodity market or trade should undertake?
I think first is the improvement of visibility, which will support planning. So if we have the complete visibility right from the time these fruits and vegetables or grains are grown into the farm till it is sold to the final consumer, where all inventory, how much it is lying, how much it is likely to come. Once the visibility is there, then the next step is to plan and to sell it, to transport it to a location where it can be sold easily. Movement from the location where it is likely to be not sold and result into a loss, to moving faster decision and faster action to move it to a location where it can be sold easily. This can all be facilitated. First step is the visibility. Second step is the planning.
Thank you. Thank you. I take a question from Mr. Shailesh. Can you ask a question? I unmuted you. Muted again. Mr. Shailesh, who is an attendee. Mr. Sajat. Okay. Last question I will take from MK Hazarika, please. Or Atul. Can you ask a question, Atul?
Can I come in, sir?
Yeah, please. MK Hazarika, please.
Yeah, Manoj Kumar Hazarika. Because of bandwidth, I'm not putting my video. Okay. Very nice talk, sir. Just one simple query that actually whatever network modeling we apply for non-perishable items like grain, so how actually it will be affecting the quality loss or quantity loss if the same theories are applied to our perishable items, particularly fruits and vegetables? Because when I try to find some modeling at our academic level itself, I was not finding much of the information. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, through network modeling, you also know that where the demand is increasing. So you can quickly transport from X warehouse to Y warehouse the grains which you are storing, which will result in the reduction of the losses or the obsolete inventory.
Thank you. Atul? Atul
Hello.
Mohat?
Hello.
Yes, your classmate. I think you studied together. You can
Yes,
talk.
he's my senior actually.
Nice to see you, man, for a very good presentation. My small question is there any supply chain models are available for geotagging material like Alfonso?
I'm not aware whether the ready-made models are available, but of course, I mean, a product like Alfonso, which is a very high-value product, I'm sure some companies must have already worked on it. And there are so many startups who are working on the supply chain model, network modeling, blockchain, and all nowadays. So I'm sure Alfonso, being a high value and can afford some cost of technologies and the network modeling, there must be some agencies, but we will have to search into the market.
Thank you. I think I'll take one question, last question from Dr. Gajen Singh, please.
Mahesh, very good presentation.
Thank you.
In your model, linear programming model, what were the most important factors affecting the location?
So one is the distance from the source to the warehouse. For example, if a say distance is 200 kilometer or 500 kilometer, then that is the input variable which impacts. And then second is the rent of the warehouse. For example, if you want to put a warehouse in Bhiwandi or Mumbai, it is very costly. Versus if you put 200 kilometer away from Bhiwandi somewhere from Mumbai, it could be much cheaper. So these are the input variables.
Access will affect.
Sorry?
The road available or the...
Yeah, so that is also there. I mean, so when we used to do this network programming, it used to give results of a particular city where there is no warehouse infrastructure. So that result is immaterial if there is no warehouse available in that city. What is the point even if it is the cheapest? So it requires a lot of analysis after the input also comes. And there are many professionals who have made career only in network programming. There are companies who pay very high salaries to these professionals and hire these network programming professionals. Their job is to run these models and analyze the output and then change the input variables and rerun the model. So if it is giving an output which is practically not possible to implement, then you have to change the variables and rerun the model.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mahesh. I remember you were talking about put to light. I think 2 years back, somebody came to me to make a pick to light and put to light system in India, a Reliance guy. I think I made it, and still I have a lot of things lying with me there. So I will send it to you for a warehouse.
That will be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, Indian made excellent one. I'm telling you, I guarantee you that.
Mahesh,
Anyway, yeah, please. Yeah.
Mr. Mahesh,
Khetan?
what is
Yeah.
the, hello?
Yes, Dr. Indramani.
It was wonderful talk. I'm
Thank you.
just want to know that, suppose we want to teach, because you have been a culture engineer and you have been in IM, and this supply chain has come as a very important area. So what is the possibility of training for, even younger faculty or, students, and introducing a course on this, at master's level? And how can you help us?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, in whatever way, right from course designing to having trainees in my organization. So I go regularly to NITI for guest lectures and participating in the conferences, and some IIMs like IIM Indore and all. So NITI already has a course on supply chain, MBA in supply chain, a postgraduate management course in supply chain. And they constantly, the professors of NITI constantly interact with me, and sometimes they invite us to mentor some of their students. So they run some competition in their college, and they call me to judge the competition, and the winner, whoever is the winner, I have to provide mentorship to the winner for 3 months. That is his prize. So, and like that, they also call people from Godrej, senior people from Godrej, and do that. And in addition to that, if anyone wants a mentorship or wants to have some kind of training, I can support in my organization. If some educational institute wants to run a course on this, I can also help support in the course designing. I can connect with NITI and other similar
It
institutes.
will be really very great. That will be really great. And we will follow you, in this connection. And
certainly, I would be happy to contribute whatever way I can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahesh. I remember.
Yeah, ISAE member, he should be a fellow of ISAE.
Yes.
Yeah, he will come. I remember my 15, I think 20 years back. Yes, Ravichandran and myself, we went to our alma mater. Same thing we are talking about, training the people, agriculture engineers, those days, in logistics. When it was very new, logistics was very new in 25 years back. I think we will do very good, Mahesh. I think, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Indramani, thank you very much. We have friends, we have a second topic, very important topic. You remember the Webinar 2.0 has a team called TAG, Technology Application Group, where we are actually analyzing the issues what Indian agriculture has, some of the issues where we can help. The agriculture engineers especially can contribute positively to the cause. And we had already some of the webinars, excellent talks on biogas applications. Then we had also solar energy. And we have a lot of experts in biogas. And we've been doing for 30 years in India. And I think we want to change something in biogas. A lot of discussion happened, whether it's economical or not, why there are no entrepreneurship still in biogas. Some bankers told we don't want to give any more loans for the biogas. And there are issues. But the TAG team has made a white paper. The first version of the white paper, I would like the TAG to invite. Indramani, can you invite Baruah and the team? Who is the, please? Dr. Baruah?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah. Okay, I will do that. No problem. I think it's speaker. So Dr. Baruah and Er.Robesh Maity, I think both of you take charge. Now the floor is yours.
Welcome, Dr. Baruah and Er.Robesh Maity.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Indramani. I'll share the presentation. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go. So this journey, we started almost Webinar 2.0, and with Dr. Baruah's presentation, and with the help of Dr. Baruah, we together prepared this presentation. The topic is smarting biogas energy ecosystem, and as Dr. Syed said, the challenges in the beginning, yes, whether 30 years have gone, should we take this challenge? Yes, we said we should take the challenge, and we found a reason why we should take the challenge. and we started making a progress on this. So so going to the biogas. So Dr. Baruah, I'll pull you wherever your intervention is required. Please help me go through
Please,
the whole
please, please.
presentation.
Go ahead, please. Please.
So the biogas energy definitely from the research there are many scenarios of where it is being institutionalized, but are having some challenges. So we said biogas, but from the study what I found, or Dr. Baruah has been saying also, biogas energy use has an attractive business beneficial space, and that's what we have to respect, and it has a lot of societal benefits, and I will cover it later. However, as we progress further, I think going forward, we need techno-commercial research to complete, and some of them I'll talk about. And then only the turnaround is possible. When I say turnaround possible, that means it's liked by the entrepreneur, and there's a profitable business, and there's a sustainability. And what we are saying is smarting the whole, which is a topic of my presentation, smarting the whole VAC ecosystem through technology, policy interventions, and research work. So what are the things we are looking in this? The main purpose of this is not doing the business alone. It is the business which is created from a higher purpose. And higher purpose is the societal advantages it provides, which I'll give a glimpse on the second page. The intent of this one is that the customer delight. This is one of the challenge which was already faced. If you want a sustainability of this project, there has to be a customer delight. It should be available at the right cost. It should be available to the cost of next best alternative, whatever is there, whichever place, and I'll talk about it later. And there has to be 100% continuity. There should not be any disruption. It should be either with a backup plan, or seeing that the plant never has a discontinuity. And one of the challenges which was continuously discussed, that even inputs, supply can disrupt the whole situation, as have been disrupting also. And there could be more customer delights. There is service like stoves, and knowing about them, how the usage is happening, what more can be done, which I'll talk later. Of course, it should be attractive and sustainable business for an entrepreneur. That is important. So with that intent, of course, it looked like a very difficult problem. Of course, Dr. Baruah gave a lot of hopes there, and a lot of higher purposes there. So yeah, Dr. I should thank Dr. Syed and Indramani that pushing me to see that can we do something here. So I put a simple model of what was Dr. Baruah's presentation. And then on that, I tried to look at what inputs and how the inputs can come. And I'm very happy to say during the discussion, like Dr. Gajendra, Dr. Indramani, they provided the inputs. Also Dr. Syed, Dr. Syed there. Of course, but Dr. Baruah, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Manzul, Dr. Murthy, they provided input in writing. I was encouraged that Dr. Narendra Shah mentioned one important point, that we should probably, to be successful, take 2 or 3 line items or technology research which can provide disruption. Of course, there may be more, but we have to, but that point is very important, And similarly, Dr. Sachin provided in some more inputs there, and others too. So more important point is why we are doing biogas. If we leave it as it is, the waste becomes a waste, and it's not serving a purpose, it's doing the more damage. And to say that how much it is, I started looking at I started looking at what are the 17 sustainable goals where they fit in. I think that fits in almost 17, but at least I highlighted 16. When such a high purpose is there, I think this is something cannot be neglected. So we have to find out a turnaround through techno-commercial research, turnaround through entrepreneurial delight, customer delight. So I need not spend a lot of time on these. You can find this information, and it was already presented. These are the benefits which again can be related to this,
Robesh, I'm sorry. Can you go back to the 17? Can you explain each one of them? Just a short moment.
So these are like when we say no poverty situation, so we are talking about the biogas being used in locations at a right cost where the other energies are not available. So that helps there. And also it provides, once that person is free, who is collecting the inputs from the from the jungle, is actually free to do more work through this process. So those are some of those So I need not explain a lot in detail. These are the sustainable goals, but that's how it connects, So similarly, inequalities, when I say reduce inequalities, it's between men and women. So women are actually trying to take a lot of things, all the trying to manage the household cooking through the woodwork tomorrow in those locations, and biogas provides a absolute delight. And if you look at that situation, this provides a confidence in women and brings equality. And similarly, means if we can recollect the presentation from Dr. Baruah, the aspiration, he had given aspiration image. I think that aspiration image will actually bring many of these. So on Lifeland, definitely the advantages like environment management, environment giving benefits to the advantage, the percolation of bad things, landfill, trying to damage things. Climate actions are known. So I need not explain a lot, but these and benefits, whatever were here, can be indirectly or directly, connected to all the 17 goals. These are like WHO who has provided this and almost all the organizations are trying to follow these guidelines whenever they do some kind of environmental benefit project presentations where they fit in. And that's an attempt there. Did I explain you?
Yes.
Okay. So what could be the approaches here? And definitely, when I talked about the next one after the higher purpose is the customer, I think I think Dr. Gajendra very well said, subsidy, or Dr. Indramani or everybody said that, the subsidy model is probably a challenge. So we have to go towards a charge model. And it should bring us some kind of a game changer when we are able to do it from a perspective of what I talked about, those 17 advantages. I think we have to find a right value of those those benefits and plug it into. So you use a gas, and there will be some base cost there, but you are getting a credits, or from whatever the advantages. So the charge actually reduces. So in case of entrepreneur, he is able to charge to the government, for example, and I'm sure he can, in the whole process, when we calculate this value, this may come out very well. We have to make this model in such a way that it encourages him to do more marketing and more demand generation. And that way, what happens is you put a right tariff brackets or a production brackets. One who produces more gets a better rate. Very simple. And similarly, for a customer pay, for example, there will be a base minimum, and we are saying we develop a bill based on how much he's using. And if he's using more than certain things, or a tariff model can be there where the credits are debited to his account, and finally he gets a very less bill. So those are some of the thought processes here, which we will think about more. What is sustainable for an entrepreneur? The subsidy model to be replaced with a loan, and I think that was Dr. Gajendra's always have been, I've been talking about it and pushing for it at an attractive low rate. And why it has to be there, I think higher purpose comes first, not the business. Arrive at a deal with, we need to have some kind of a deal with government to find an attractive charge model, which I discussed in the left portion. Total now, we should believe that whatever is a current social scenario, and I think still the entrepreneurs are humans, or and somewhere they are working within an environment of their own existence, and doing still the business, and though they have adopted this, so they are in turn, they are actually favoring. So we have to find out how they can be fully beneficial to the society and still make the money. And that's where I'm saying that the total value chain solution matters. So with our intelligence, with the group TAG intelligence there, I think we need to see not only when we talk about production or a technology, I think people are talking about the production system in general. But what is left over to an entrepreneur is to manage the input as well as output. In output, of course, there is also a technology there. But ultimately, I think he takes a technology, he provides for whatever social scenario he's working in, he provides a solution to the customers where the input and output is marginal. So that's what he makes money, because he of course takes advantage of subsidy there. but I think as an intelligent, team members here, we should find a total value chain solutions, and there are some inputs in the presentation. So they should have a ready business. They may not be knowing everything, so probably through our approach they will be able to know those things. ISAE, of course, this was Dr. Andar Mani's proposal, that whole value chain consultation will be taken as a consultation or a contract, and could be a sort of a royalty model. So very strong concept, along with the technology interventions, so to be provided, and those concepts to be ready for these industries. So I think there are three models we can realize. Small scale industry, and the product could be, cooking gas. Mid and large, we are talking about product bio CNG, and these are the, I think there's a third one where we need to also look at them very seriously. The intent is that their own purpose is not only, saving some cost and all that. It's for the continuity of their own business. They need to run. Sometimes the electricity is not available, diesel generator, and it's already said definitely biogas generator is more advantageous. There may be, if the overall costs are proven to be very, very attractive, they need not run the whole system based on the biogas, but they should run, for example, heating of the systems, or somewhere water heating, or some kind of those kind of things, alternatives. The customers, they are the ones who are looking more at a higher purpose as their business. They are trying to take an advantage, and that's the hidden agenda definitely there. So what can be the tag approaches there? So we are saying what is required is definitely a sort of a turnaround in this case, and it has to happen through techno-commercial aligned research. It's mandatory, per alignment. And of course, we are saying these two, approach A as well as approach B. So while we are doing a research, the tag team can also visit, a couple of bioenergy plants and provide a technology intervention, do the brainstorming there and there itself. This was discussed last time also, projects with the goals to disrupt the benefits, and some I will talk about later also. So there need to be, we should demonstrate it through a pilot plants. And we are saying the smaller pilot plant can be made at somewhere in the universities, and mid or large can be the one where we visited. Once we convert that, we can have an agreement to say that it becomes a demo plant. So I will now call on Dr. Baruah to talk about those additional efforts, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, this is that what I wanted, and I'm very happy that whatever this through a glance of this industrialist or the persons having industry, your outlook as rightly presented the thing. That's how, though you insisted that me to present, I said that it's better that, and from industrial perspective, for practical perspective, rather than an academician, and you have rightly said. That is, in fact, not additional effort. I was not a bit confused about this tag initiative, and then I thought that what is gap, what is the gap, and that ISAE could take. This I thought that maybe whatever we have many documents available in many areas, and then a single source document, particularly the biogas scenario. Government of India's different departments, MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, even rural development departments, they are promoting this biogas technology through different schemes since 80s or even before that. All of you know, KBAC one of them. But the information's availability about the status is very scattered, and it's difficult. And then if we contact and then at least make a document, that could be a good thing to know the real picture. That is one. Second, there are many research also. We need not to duplicate the research effort, particularly in aspect of this biogas design, the reactor design at different scales, and the aspect of this feedstocks, in the aspect of this fertilizer value experiments. Particularly, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICR, ACRI project of renewable energy resources, very successful. The field level demonstrations up to field level demonstrations projects, and then outputs are available. However, a single source documents, I think, are lacking as far as I am concerned. Maybe we can do that aspect also. ISAE can take up that part. But this was actually my expectation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So again, this is what after my input, actually, Dr. Baruah, you came up with this, chart, and which are some of the research. Can you explain this chart as well, and where the research are required? So.
Yes, that first is the inputs. We have traditionally cow dung was the input, but whenever we are getting the scale up and up for the industrial purpose, then input baskets, your feedstock basket has increased. However, there are issues, and those issues already we discussed in terms of its rheological property, in terms of its different chemical properties, and there may be required if we need to think, understand that the 24 hours of the 365 days feedstock to be available, we'll have to rely on multiple feedstocks, and then some degree of blending and other we'll have to think, and there are some research involved, and it is very, if we plan it and if we understand that know how this technology could be developed. The research is developed, science is available, but technology readily available. If an industry wants, that is not there, that could be first one. That will come under input identifications, increasing the number of items, and then the technology for pre-processing, that is the blending or whatever the concept or value chain or the supply chain, whatever I think, that may be one aspect. Then biomethanation, enough informations are available, enough knowledge is there. Maybe due with these new feedstocks, new blending of feedstocks, some degree of research, high-level research, lab research may be required. Otherwise, it's ready for practical. Only thing is that the biogas plant may be some degree of optimization in terms of the material, in terms of its other size, in terms of the durability, in terms of the fitting of the gadgets may be required. And then biogas, as far as the thermal use is concerned, at household level, no issue. Maybe some degree of processing of dehydrating, that means moisture removal or so, that could be done. Otherwise, it's okay. Only thing is that the 24 your all season biogas productions, that means each methane productions, that to be ensured, and then biogas could be taken to the cooking for in household type of things. But for industrial things, upgradation is must. Upgradations ensuring 98%. The presently available upgradation technology is not yet assured. I think there some scope is there so that you can think of proper upgradations, and thereby also thinking the carbon dioxide, which is their main component, that can also be commercially can we make also commercially available in the form of dry ice. It is a market. Then another part which most of the policy paper, government programs missed it. I have read these government's programs for promotion of the biogas technology. The fertilizer value of the slurry, that part is missed. Only output they consider the gas and other things. So digested slurry has tremendous value. It has been proved by all corners, maybe directly total or by separations. Separation, one advantage is that we can take the liquid part for recirculations, thereby reducing the demand of this water that is required. Even if we do not do that, if we have a high market for crops, some of the crops, mushrooms or so, that liquid part can be sold also as a product, liquid byproduct. Solid part with fortifications or without fortifications, that could be sold as an organic fertilizer. There is a demand, and that with complete standard package, I think it's lacking. There isn't some scope of doing this as a standard package of this fertilizer part. And then storage and bottling. If we rely on this traditional bottle of high weight, heavy weight, then again it affects negatively to this sustainability. There are some lightweight bottle where we can think of transportations, and then that bottle could help us of marketing it better, because heavyweight bottle, whatever is available now, cylinder, traditionally we use, that replacement should come, and that there may be already available for other LPG or so people are trying, maybe for biogas also, depending on the use, maybe restaurant use, domestic use, vehicle use, we can think of some bottle. So these are the areas I could see, and how this we can think of its viability. So these are the part, I think, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'll proceed to the next. Sorry. Did you want to do some more things?
No problem. The IoT integration time,
yeah,
where
I'll come. It will come next.
No problem.
So important part is what are the different. So he talked about few of the important topics over there. I've captured some, and what we are saying, the inputs, learn from a running plant. What I said already for efficient material handling, probably that's what TAG team can do. Of course, technology monitoring. We said intervention required for monitoring. And of course, the other point. So I'll not dwell a lot on this, but important point is that how to make, and Dr. Baruah talked about, is whatever is the output of the bio plant, if we make it equivalent to anything which is same best available, and that's where definitely Dr. Baruah confirmed bio CNG, petroleum CNG is same, fuel is same. And of course, with respect to household, there's a gas LPG, but when you talk about community and extract the CO2, what he talked about, it becomes the same. The intent would be there is to say that we have the same devices for both what is available and bio CNG. So in that case, switchover is easy, or it can be used for partial use or a total changeover, and those kind of things. So I'll not spend time here, but most important point was this. I think this becomes a sort of a game changer, this is what Dr. Baruah was trying to hint, the technology intervention, IoT based. And I'll ask, of course, just I believe that what Dr. Baruah explained to me, besides the technology intervention for enhanced production efficiency, continuity, and all that, which is the last portion over here, is important. That this with policy intervention could be a game changer. This, when I say game changer, on this scale which I'm trying to indicate, the efforts are relatively low and usages are high. So over to you, Dr. Baruah.
That what is happening actually, there are provisions of performance assessment and monitoring in all of the schemes, government funded, a subsidy or others, but there are no tools. This is really an issue, because most of your insane in this who are the officers or the other departments, there is a provision of some financial assistance or your reward for them in terms of the number of plants. And the number of plants they need to produce a report that plant is working, and that at initial stage or maybe at certain durations, they will also give this some data of that this much of production is there. But there is no monitoring, proper monitoring or proper data collection system on which the officers could verify. That is really lacking. And I just assume this is a serious lacking, that why more number of plants are remain non-functional, because informations are not available to the persons who should be responsible to take care of that part. So that IoT-based information of accessing the information, particularly small data, maybe pH data, maybe gas production data, maybe temperature data, and if this is known through some technology at the top level, who are monitoring the schemes, or the research level at the lab, or some other the user himself, the person himself, owner himself, that will help to prevent, rectify, correct these issues. That is one part that I could see. Then policy papers also, some of the policy tools, then whatever these schemes are running now, that could also be get sensed, and then it will be sensed from just simply an government assistance scheme to the private owned for profit gaining. That I wanted to say here.
Yeah. So besides just monitoring approvals, what Dr. Baruah explained, I think over time we are looking at efficiencies, and once this model is developed, tools are provided, along with the TAG team. I think that's a low hanging. It can be further used for improving the efficiencies, AI, ML, or even cloud services that we can talk about. It should be pushed along with policy to entrepreneurs to say that they maintain the plant, because now we are able to see them every day for a year, for 10 years. And if they are able to run the plant very efficiently, they get a bonus, those kind of advantages. So then production side, I will not spend a lot of time on this because of the time constraint over there. But basically, talked about this biogas plant, recycling. So recycling capability of biogas plants, organic fertilizer, that's what Dr. Baruah talked about. We'll not spend time there, but it is more or less, these are the possible. So this is a list of all the points which we have put over there together, but actually when we sit down, we will decide on how do we proceed on this. So definitely the point which Dr. Baruah mentioned in his first presentation itself, these are the ones he's very, very quickly looking at. And I'm sure Dr. Syed, for him, this should be a piece of a cake once it gets engaged over there. And we have a monitoring device, we have a central database where all this information, besides the own monitoring, it can go to a governmental monitoring as well. So Besides that, I talked about the integration team, which I've been always talking about, and I made the model there. So these are some of them which we said: total integration effort, policy. I think there we need to spend quite a bit of time and see that the policy documents are written, financial templates are ready, sort of a project model is ready, a consultancy and royalty model is ready, those kind of things. And this is what actually coming from industry, I can say that this is nothing but what any industry follows, called as a business unit concept. So within the organization, they will have each functions as a business unit and trying to be efficiently supporting. And this is the same thing. And that's how I covered for 3 groups, and we have to do this. And this is how some of where we have to form, and TAG has to involve in the development of those of the technologies we have been talking about, not only for production group but supporting other groups as well. So from here we connect for Miss. That's what for the presentation. I think we will need guidance of the ISAE TAG team, the management group over here, to say that okay, we define teams, we define TAG teams, we have to define next steps and concurrence. So anything else from your side, Dr. Baruah?
It's okay, it's fine, perfect. Let us have a discussion.
Yeah.
Thank
okay
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Baruah. Thank you, Er.Robesh. Very interesting. I think within 3 weeks' time, I think we are sitting and discussing the tag when we started this first one. On 20th of May, we started. And I remember Baruah was the first speaker. And today we are sitting almost and making proposals of how to improve the biogas scenario in India. It's not only biogas, actually, it's biofuels also is another topic which we discussed actually. But I think we have to now, ISAE will take up, probably form the teams as requested by Er.Robesh. And we can, of course, do the IoT stuff and all what is required by Baruah very easily. That is not a point here. We have to see the first inputs, what Er.Robesh told, that we have to see input and output. That part we have to manage. I will first put it on questions now. So anybody who has questions, you can ask now, because this is important. I think give your opinions, please, all of you.
Nobody is starting, huh?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Baruah, you are part of this AICRP on renewable energy.
Not now, sir. During my agriculture university tenure, I was there.
You are not there you don't have a center of AICRP?
No, AICRP center was there at Assam Agriculture University. I served there up to 2006. Now I am in Tezpur University. We do not have AICRP center. Even in Agriculture University, Jorat also, that center has been gone to Sikkim, Gangtok. AICRP center is now in Gangtok, sir.
Is anybody from AICRP involved in our discussions here? Because it's a big money in that project, and there are so many people employed throughout the country. Is anybody represented there? Indramani, any idea?
I don't think anybody is here, sir, but Dr. Baruah's experience, itself speaks that if you come out from that ESRP and develop your own things, and you can do wonder. So we should connect them.
What I'm trying to say is we are spending crores of rupees every year on this renewable energy scheme. So I think we should talk to Dr. Mehta, because it's stationed at Bhopal, CIAE Bhopal. And
IPRPs are under review, and lot many things, has been discussed, and we from ISA side and from this webinar side can send a good note to them also. that what should be done in ASAP. You are correct that a big sum of amount, not only big sum of amount in form of project money, but salary of people, lot many people are involved. So
that's
how
what
to
I'm saying, yeah.
very practical enterprise and not like just simply running the load and so all this will come and we will share the and Dr. Baruah will be the wonderful person for this to tell his own experiences about AICRP and then coming out and taking project from even from DST and all other university. How what are the bottlenecks that also we can discuss in as a segment, sir. What are the bottlenecks in running these programs and how to make them really fruitful, ventures, because it seems that things are not coming out. Dr. Baruah?
Yes, please. What is it?
No, because you have been at both the places. You have seen the ISAP, then you came to Tejpur. Tejpur, you are also doing in Tejpur also. What are the bottlenecks?
See, this AICRP scheme, I was there in the early part of this 90s. Then, but I know some of the things. At farm level, so many knowledge that I say know-how is being generated, particularly the fermentations, the dye fermentations, the design, your design of this plant, and then the digester management. Those things were available, and it was also at household level, farm level, under care. It was being managed. However, with that care is required, the management is required. I think some gap is still there. If it is cared by someone, it is running. Once if you make it, because it is always compared with these LPG systems or other systems where minimum care is required. That part of thing, people's behavior also, I feel, according to me, are missed out by those schemes, where you can make it a competitive one, because other systems have less treasury or less hassles. Here, more hassles. Those hassles points are the concept, proof of concept, and other running is being seen by those schemes, and so know-how is generated. But to make it in technology that by its own strength it will go, that part is missed out during this year. That is my understanding on it.
So I'm really, as Professor Singh mentioned, I'm really very much curious to that your experience and this all discussion. We listened IIT experience also. So what we can suggest from this side, because we are independent body, as such now we are independent body. We are having people from all walk of life related to bioenergy, related to technology. Can we make some add something to this what we have discussed and be presented? That this is a very big scheme of the ICR and it's going on. How to bring changes for betterment. How to bring and that, and we will share at least with them, and we can provide some kind of advice that this group which has discussed threadbare, did dissection of many ways. That what Maity did is dissection in the way, and you can select your piece of cake. So and you can integrate the way you want. So all these things can be shared with the AICRP or any other program which is running on the cost of Government of India in bioenergy sector, and we can share that what should be the way out. If there is some better option, they can accept and adapt Dr. Maity and processing. I think this we will take it up.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll allow two more questions. Some people are waiting for the questions. Let me ask Palanimuthu, I think, if I'm correct. Can you ask a question, please?
Sir, good evening. Good evening. This is, I'm come from UAS Bangalore, sir. University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore. I'm University Head of Agriculture Engineering in this university.
Very warm welcome.
Just to put one question, sir, to Baruah. We have a large number of regional biogas development training centers established over the years, nearly 30 years. And they produce reams of data. They tested thousands of biogas plants and then conducted so many trainings. But I could not see any visual, visual impact.
I think we have seen already. We have discussed almost we had about four sessions on biogas. We had experts talking about it. We had drilled them. I think Baruah cannot reply this question. We know this problem. That's
or anybody for that matter.
No. We know that. That is the reason this tag was started. The reason why we started Technology Application Group is because of that. 30 years people working in the field coming and tell me 30 years. I asked the question, are you willing to invest 25% of your savings after retirement into the biogas plant? So the person is not willing to talk straight away. So that is the problem today. We understand with Pallimathu, but then we have no solution right now. We are trying to find a solution for it. So it is not, Baruah cannot reply this. I will ask another question, Minto Job, please.
Sir, my question is very site specific. I am speaking from Ranchi. Sir, we have a 30 cubic meter Dinbandhu model, piggery based by.
Oops.
Hello, sorry.
I think he disconnected.
He disconnected.
Disconnected.
Okay. I'll take another question by the time he comes back. He has to connect back. Dr. P.K. Sahu.
Thank you, Dr. Syed. The TAG group has done a tremendous job. They have really compiled everything, but my suggestion is 1, 2, 3. What should be the research issues which we can pass on to the AICRP? As Dr. Gajendra Singh and others are saying, not much of the work is being taken by the AICRP centers, because we have to see what is the mandate with those centers. What is the mandate of AICRP, of this RES? Then 1, 2, 3, these are the research issues they should take care. And second, what about the policies? Because any policy intervention, already the subsidy, whatever it has been given, it is in the government, it is in the government domain. So how much we can propose for. So without going for everything, just 2, 3 points for the AICRP from the research front, and for the government, these are the 2, 3 policy issues which the government can address. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Robesh, can you add? Or Baruah?
Yeah, I will say not only this, the goal is the same as what Dr. Sahu is saying. We will talk through and decide. But one important point he did not mention is not only research, it's the technology intervention. I think technology intervention, that was my point, which we can put over there, along with the policy intervention, which are the low-hanging fruits. That's where the start point can be. And whatever are the running plans, probably there we look at and develop our further, experiment requirements.
Yeah, like
one more thing I want to add. This is not about running plant. I think about 3 decades before. Let me complete. That RBDTC, the other speaker was talking about, there are some ghost plants even. We could find some ghost plants. There are no plant existing still, then the subsidy is being dispersed. So many problems are there. So these things need to be addressed.
Dr. P.S. This is not a forum. This is not a forum for government mistakes or some mistakes. We are trying to talk how to correct it.
Sure.
I think Dr. Syed, we have put that.
Let me interrupt. Because this is not a forum to blame somebody. We are not going to take
No, I am not blaming.
No. But I think, see, Dr. P.K. Sahu is we are trying to get ideas from you. TAG will work on it. Okay, TAG has done excellent work within this time, so we are trying to do it. And Robesh, can you answer his question, please?
Yeah, see, we already talked about the monitoring makes everything very objective now. It's not that ghost plant exists. So ghost plant will not exist theoretically if it's done correctly, the monitoring system.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Actually, I think it is till now it was seen that it is a baby which needs care or support. I think whatever the AICRP or government in their scheme, it thought like that. But with these technology interventions, we can convert it, sense it. No, this baby does not require any support. It will run as good as other equipments, maybe scooter, motorcycle, car. It's in conversion technology. I have resources. I want to convert it for my need. And at all, if government or other parties want to give support for environmental benefit, other benefit which is contributed, which is being get out of it due to this nationally determined commitment of the government of India or its commitment for going for renewable, they could give. Otherwise, it has own strength. Only thing is that I think this is my perception. If only some technological interventions could make it that it has own strength to go. No support is required. That is the thing. That's perception only. That sense of perception.
Actually, thank you very much. This is how the whole thing started. Webinar 2.0 is from Dr. Baruah. When we had a discussion before the webinar started, he was looking for technological intervention actually to find out the problem of the biogas plant. That's how the whole thing started. But I'm sure that's what we are going to propose now. Instead of going back and ask why it happened, what happened, we have done that exercise already. What we are going to do now is, yes, we are going to show you to work. So that is probably the attitude. I'll take two more questions. People are waiting for a long time. Mr. Shailesh or Mr. Sajat, anyone can talk, please. Shailesh? Shailesh Kumar?
Yes, sir. Good evening to all of you.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask one question? How can we?
Yeah, please.
How can we manage the biogas plant at the village level?
Dr. Baruah?
Yes. Managing means biogas plant. What I learned from some of these very experienced people, biogas digester or plant is just like my own stomach. It is oxygen biology, and I know what to eat, how disturbances will be obtained. So if that knowledge is available to the user, obviously he will take care what to be fed up. And as knowledge, what to be given as a feedstock is known, all is known. Only thing is that care should be taken. It should not be neglected. It should not be considered that I will not care because it is a subsidy item. Let it go. If that conception is come, biogas will be well run by even the villagers because they can run more very critical things than the biogas. It is the most simplest thing. But what is now proposed here is that even with this modern technology, maybe an app will be available in my mobile. I could know at that point of time what is the pH and what is the gas production that here. That is now intervention is being desired here in this forum. Otherwise, biogas, successful biogas plant is running by the villagers. Even 30 years, 40 years, I have seen, I have interacted of my personal experience. It is being done. Only thing is that since it is started that I'm not caring, the problem started.
Thank you, Dr. Baruah. I have a question from the yeah, please. Shailesh Kumar. No, I'm asking
how to convince.
I'm just taking another. Please, I'm taking another question from Mr. Ravi Shankar.
Good evening, everybody. It's a really thought-provoking presentation on biogas, particularly. But a brief introduction. I have a classmate of Syed in Coimbatore. I did bachelor's in agriculture while he was into engineering. So this is a subject which all of us have been kind of following, trying to manage waste. You know, there are two areas of waste generation in huge quantities. One is the urban waste, urban wet waste. And the other is the agricultural waste, both of which obviously, there have been several attempts at trying to generate energy out of it. Now, I've never had an opportunity to look at this topic in any measure because it's very remote from my area of work, which is not in this space at all. But looking at the presentation made, it gives me a bit of a worry as to are we chasing the right solution, because the problem statement talks about the conversion or the energy creation out of the biogas as an issue and a couple of other related aspects. And also looking at our own experiences, we have got more failures in this, and it's been one of the oldest technology in terms of generation of energy from this. But obviously it hasn't gone beyond just discussions in various forums, but has not really come to a level of sustained as a dependable source of energy for even at the rural level.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, are we, what are the, maybe a good starting point would be to see what is the cost of production and per unit of energy, probably what is measured in BTU or whatever. How does the bio waste compare with the electricity
Ravi,
or any other?
Ravi,
It's a part of a plan, I can
sorry,
say.
Ravi, we have already had discussions on this. Actually, the first several discussions we were talking, but biogas, as like Er.Robesh told, finally we decided because the waste is a problem, how to manage the waste. So it has got a, Er.Robesh, can you tell the basic how you started? What is the reason? Can you please tell?
Yeah, so see, of course, what Dr. Ravi said is right there, and it was a challenge there. But when you look at the higher purpose, and that's what I try to explain as why this is required. Otherwise waste is a waste, and that's where you're doing so many things. It's not only waste of the waste; it is also waste of a human resource and equality. Those things I talked about. So that's what has been the higher purpose became a much more a requirement. And I believe if we look very seriously at the economics of a higher purpose, it will definitely reduce the cost of the biogas generation.
Okay. I'll come to that. See, we are taking another topic of solar pumps recently installed in last 5-6 years, and which are not working. I mean, they are huge numbers. We come to the next topic. Actually, we are working on TAG is working. Biogas. Actually, we cannot. I know it's economically problematic, like we discussed about one plant in Ludhiana, which is shut down, worked for some time, and many places it is a problem. But let us see the reason why. So we are trying to analyze the reasons. And for higher values, yes, biogas is good to still use on the topic of waste management and good environment, clean environment. That is the only topic we are looking. I think your question is valid. Any other question you have, or somebody else has any question, or I would ask Kajin Singh, anybody has questions? If no questions are there, I think we
There's
will.
one more doubt I have, Syed.
Please.
As the technology over the last 30 years, has there been any innovations, or has there been anything new, or is it no progress on that front?
Yes, the question. See, biogas is technology. If you talk about, you can add some chemicals to make the process faster, because it's natural process. You cannot do much more in technology. But the question is, technology is not used for monitoring. That's the question actually now. And one of the main problems in biogas we have is the input availability, continuous availability of the material. That is a problem. So we try to find solutions why it failed. But unfortunately, 30 years, people are working on this with a lot of money has been being spent and still being spent. The question is, we are not in a position to go and say shut down all the biogas. I don't agree with it also. Wherever it is possible, city's problem. For example, I told before, I think maybe 7-8 years back, Vasai in Mumbai, there's a Vasai Vira, this one. They asked, they have problem with the wastage management near cities. And I think this is, based on that, we have decided on this. We will see how far it goes. So we want to see biogas, one of the topic which is sensitive. So we want to talk that topic. But then when we come to electrification, what we have solar, whatever it is, we go more into financial stuff. Because biogas is still now, for example, a banker told, you don't give a loan anymore for biogas plants, the banks. We had a person representing IOB, one person told. And I know also biogas, nobody gives a loan. But I think this is a larger issue we manage for the country, which environment will do. Dr. Indramani, you can close the session. Yeah.
So yes, we should not lose the focus. The emphasis is on waste management. There is a waste from urban centers, big waste, and so much money is being spent. There is a waste from agriculture sector, from all this. So we are trying to convert waste into wealth, as well as protecting the environment. So because you have to keep that problem, we are looking for that solution. So don't look at the cost only of gas in terms of costing.
I agree.
For example, the oil to produce anything from biofuel, there was a video circulating which was done 2016 video. One plant was being started for that. But I think the problem is getting the raw material is a big problem. So burning problem issue of Punjab and Haryana cannot be solved. You have to collect the raw materials and take it. That's too expensive. So that is one of the issues why the plants don't work. There are different plants, biofuel making with the waste. But I think we'll find a solution. I think this will be no end to this topic. I think we continue with this. Dr. Indramani, I think I will request you to close it. Tag will get back again on this biogas again. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Syed. Friends, it was a really wonderful discussion. First, we had, from Mr. Mahesh Khetan on supply chain. And there, my thinking is that we will try to have some elective courses, double courses, means elective courses, if possible, for the institution, for the students, and for that, Mr. Khetan has agreed to help us, and we will find a team. This is a very important area, but not taught in the agricultural engineering, even at master's level. So this is one, and this later part was really enlightening, and the way Er.Robesh and Mr. Baruah did the dissection and putting the things in in a very, very right perspective. It was wonderful. Only one thing I want to add, Mr. Er.Robesh, that mechanizing the both making and managing a biogas plant, because this is one area, mechanization. I got a request from a person from Prayagraj. He wanted, that I want to have this biogas plant, and it was very difficult to get a person, to take that, send there and to make those biogas plants. So training and skill, and then next step is mechanizing, making and managing a biogas plant, because this is one major area which needs attention of TAG group. So this we will try to add, and with this I thank you all for joining today, and both all the speakers and people who ask questions, and Dr. Syed, wonderful. Thank you very much, and we will meet on 13th. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Professor Singh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.